Hey, what's up, Bills Mafia? Welcome to episode 5 of Bills with BK. Now, this was a very, very rough week to be a Bills fan. This was just, in general, a very disappointing game. We really needed to beat the Bengals last week, and we didn't. We came up short for the second time in a row. I was really hoping that we were going to bring it to them, a little playoff revenge game, but I don't know exactly what happened. It seemed like the very first drive, we were off to a good start. Josh Allen looked at his prime form as ever, moved the ball at ease. He was making great throws, marching down the field. I thought to myself, all right, our offense is back. We are firing on all cylinders. It had the feel of that Miami Bills game earlier in the season, which I was at that game, by the way. Best NFL game I've ever been to in my life. This game kind of started off feeling like that tempo, where the Bengals scored on us right away, and then we scored on them right away. And it had that dogfight feel to it, where it was just going to be back and forth, back and forth. And then it just seemed like our offense kept stalling out after that, and the Bengals kept on putting together good offensive showcases each drive. And we just could not keep up with them. Even had Josh Allen getting cocky on his touchdown that he scored when he ran past that defender and pointed back at him when he missed the tackle. And then it all went downhill from there. One person who's been a huge bust this year for us, as much as we all hate to admit it, we all had high hopes for this guy. We're paying him a ton of money. But Von Miller has been an absolute bust. He's essentially been a no-show this season. And honestly, we only have ourselves to blame because when we gave a huge contract to a 33-year-old, we knew that there was a 50-50 chance that at that age the guy was going to get hurt and not be the same anymore. And we had a 50-50 shot of him having a few good years where he could play at a top level. We took the gamble and we lost. And I really hope that I'm wrong here. I hope that as the season progresses, Von Miller starts showing up for us, making sacks, doing what it is that we need him to do. But so far, it has not shown up yet. And I know he's still been on a snap count, so hopefully, these next couple games, they really just unleash him. But I don't know. I'm running out of excuses for Von Miller, to be honest. We almost did good on that gamble because when we first got Von Miller last year, he had 8 sacks going into that Week 12 game where he went down and got injured. So if he had continued and played the entire season, he was on track for like 12, 13 sacks, conservatively, maybe even more. So he was going to be that guy that we thought that we were paying. And then he got hurt. Not his fault. He's 33 years old. Now he's 34 years old. I mean, it's not easy for over 10 years taking hits and, being out there year after year. It takes a toll on your body, man. It's not Von's fault. I love Von Miller. I got love for that guy, but it just seems like he hasn't been the same since that injury last year. And he's not to be blamed for it. It's not his fault, but God, it was rough watching him with that missed tackle at the end of this game. I mean, third down, and I think it was 3rd and 3. We needed Von Miller to make that tackle, and he missed Joe Mixon in the open field. He just straight up missed him. Joe Mixon ended up getting the first down, and the game was over. That is honestly the exact moments that we pay Von Miller for. We need him to be our closer. We need him in those times to deliver a sack or a good tackle in those situations. And he had the opportunity to tackle Joe Mixon, and he just missed him. I know that he feels like shit about it too. I feel for the guy, I really do, but he has just not been the investment that we thought we were getting. And, we took that gamble and we knew the risks. Gabe Davis also was a huge bust last week. No catches, 2 targets. I don't know if he was just having trouble getting open or what. And, I like Gabe Davis. I think he's a stud, but I'm just not sure why he can't be like what T. Higgins is to the Bengals, We need a wide receiver, too, who can produce like the T. Higgins or the Devontae Smiths. So far, Gabe Davis has not been that for us. And it puts a lot of pressure on Stephon Diggs and the other guys when we can't have that true wide receiver, too. And I don't know exactly if this is a Gabe Davis issue or if it's more tied into our running game never being able to get going. Because I will say that it seems like if we could just have a better run game, right? Because right now, we throw the ball 80% of the time. And defenses know that. They study up our film, and they're like, oh, yeah, this is Buffalo Bills. They throw all game. Lock down Diggs, lock down Davis. They're going to have a real hard time producing. If you opened up some room for run plays, which comes back to the offensive line, like what I was talking about in previous episodes, how that needs to improve, Overall, I do think the offensive line played pretty good last week. I think they were mostly good, though, with the pass blocking and not so much the run blocking. I think the run blocking is what needs work. The pass block looked good last week. I felt like Josh Allen had some time to throw the ball, but the run blocking has not been very good, and it wasn't very good last week, and that was why James Cook never got going. And if we could start getting some better run blocking going on in the offensive line, I think it would open things up for the receivers to maybe be a little more open, and having the defense having to focus on our running game as well would take some pressure off the receivers for sure and open things up down the field more. The only bright spot on the day that I could see was Stephon Diggs. I mean, he played lights out. I mean, the guy was making circus catches all over the field, keeping his feet in bounds on that one catch. He had that awesome touchdown the last 3 minutes and 33 seconds of the game, which honestly at this point was just too little too late. We needed to score a lot sooner than that. And it sucks because that Dalton Kincaid fumble in the red zone when we were marching down the field, you hate to see that because that was a pivotal moment of the game. When Kincaid fumbled that ball in the red zone, and then they got the ball back, and it was 10-21, and then we held them to a field goal, so it was 10-24. But if Dalton Kincaid doesn't fumble the ball there, we score a touchdown that drive. And then the game is 17-21, and we're right back in there. So there's a lot of moments in this game. We could have won this game if Kincaid didn't fumble the ball, if Von Miller didn't miss that tackle. There's a lot of things. We had a lot of opportunities to win this game, and we just didn't put it together. We just didn't put together a good enough offensive showcase. And again, I hate to come back to putting the blame on Dorsey, but when you think about the last time that the Buffalo Bills were the real deal and when we knew our team was for real and could make it to the Super Bowl and could win a Super Bowl, was in 2021 in that playoff loss to Kansas City. 13 seconds. The dreaded 13-second game. That was the last time that the Buffalo Bills were in true form. Offensively, defensively, coaching, we had it all. And you ask yourself, what's different between now and then? Well, obviously some key injuries. Matt Milano going down, Daquan Jones, Tre'Davious White. But when you ask yourselves, what is different in this Buffalo Bills team now than in 2021 when we faced off with Kansas City in the playoffs and lost? Besides the obvious defensive injuries, I'll tell you what's different. We don't have Brian Daboll. We have Ken Dorsey. He's calling the plays. Back when we had Daboll, our offense looked great. So it's hard for me to not point the blame at Dorsey when we have pretty much the exact same offense that we had now that we had in 2021. What's the difference? So I really do think we need to move on from Dorsey next year. I don't have a problem with McDermott, I have all the respect for in the world because before McDermott came around, the Bills were just a losing franchise. He came in and we started winning playoff games. So I don't think that we need to put the blame on McDermott. I think that keeping him in the picture is the right move at this time. I just think that we should move on from Ken Dorsey next year. And unfortunately, this year it's kind of too late to move on in the middle of the season. So we're stuck with him. But, when you just look at the way our team was and how it is now and what's different, a flashlight goes on Dorsey for sure. Yeah, I'll be honest. Right now, season feels like a bust. Feels like we need to rebuild. Mostly defensively because of the age of a lot of these guys we're getting to on the defense. Obviously Poyer and Micah Hyde, although performing at a very high level still, let's be honest, they're getting up there in age too. These guys are in their 30s. I don't know how many more years they have left of playing at a top level like that. And I love Poyer and I love Hyde, so it breaks my heart saying that. But it's just the cold reality of the situation. No one can get away from time. That's Tom Brady. But yeah, I really feel like the rebuild needs to come mostly defensively, getting some younger guys out there, maybe some big signings. But the problem is we don't have the cap space right now because we're paying Von Miller so much money. So that's why missing on this Von Miller bet was huge. We took a big swing, and so far it's been a miss. And we knew the gamble going into it. And unfortunately, that's why we're in the situation we're in, with it being tight with the cap space. Offensively, it just feels like it's a coaching issue because we have all the weapons, especially now with Cook at running back, who's our best running back that we've had since Shady McCoy. And I think that if we get him going more, then this offense becomes a lot bigger of a threat. It's a funny situation we're in because the AFC East, no one's for real in our division, if you think about it. Miami Dolphins, Fugazi. Buffalo Bills, unfortunately, right now, Fugazi. Patriots, never had a shot at it. The most likely outcome is sure, we could still win the AFC East because the Dolphins have proven to only be a team that can beat teams with losing records, so they're not actually that good. And we could slide into first place in the AFC East, but at this point, can we really compete in the playoffs? Because honestly, when you look at our team, do we have the tools to beat these teams in the playoffs? Sure, absolutely we do. We have all the weapons in the world that we need. But the execution is what we're missing, and that is why playing like we are now, we're not going to win any games in the playoffs. So it looks like the season is a bust right now. I mean, we got the Broncos next week. You hope that we beat them. You would think that we would beat them, but then again, they did beat the Chiefs, so that game is not a gimme. Then we got Eagles, Dallas, Chargers, Patriots again, Dolphins again. None of these games are sure things. So we need to make a huge change and fast if we're going to have any chance at the AFC East or even having any chance in the playoffs going past the first round. And that's unfortunately just where we are right now. But, obviously as Bills fans, we've been here our whole lives. Okay? At least now we have Josh Allen. At least now we have a real quarterback to give us hope moving forward. For a long time, we didn't have that. My whole childhood life, we did not have a quarterback, honestly. I was like 3 years old when we had Jim Kelly. So we've been in worse waters before, but it just sucks when you're so close to being able to put it all together and go win a Super Bowl in 2021, and then to see it just steadily decline after that, while you got guys like Josh Allen in their prime, Stephon Diggs are still in their prime, but they're getting older too. This is the time we need to put it together and win games. So hopefully we can get some help with offensive coordinating, a new offensive coordinator at that. If you had my vote, this is the reality of how things are going to be with these episodes until we start dominating games. And I'm the most optimistic person in the world, but the sad reality is that we are a broken team right now, and we need to get it together. Hopefully next week after we beat the Broncos, I'll be able to come in with some positive stuff, but that's all I got for you guys this week. I'll see you next week. Go Bills.